Hi, hello everyone. Welcome back to another amazing interview by Geek Vibes Nation. I am your content manager, Tia, and please welcome me in welcoming back actor Ryan Andes. Welcome back. Thank you.
Thank you, Tia. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And so last time I had you on, we were talking about your work on Transformers Cyberverse, where you
All right.
voiced a variety of characters, most notably Shockwave and Grimlock, which is amazing. I've since then have done a few things where I'm like singing Cyberverse's praises, so that was amazing.
I love
Um,
to hear that. Thank you.
but I actually have you back on to talk about your involvement in the hit Audible podcast Witness, which I didn't even know this was a like pretty much retelling of the 1980s movie that starred, I believe, Harrison Ford. So I
That's
mean,
right.
for
Yep.
those, and I just listened to it yesterday. So for
Oh,
those who are
cool.
like watching this and they have no idea what Witness is, can you give us a little insight of what to expect?
Yeah. So, I mean, the movie was kind of a big deal back in the day. It has been some years, so it's not a surprise that most people now, especially younger people, don't know it. But it was a film that starred Harrison Ford, Donald Glover. Man, I'm forgetting some of the other actors, but basically kind of like a star-studded cast. And the story basically is about an Amish boy with his mother in Philadelphia. They're traveling to visit her sister, and while they're in Philly I think the Suburban Street train station, the kid in the bathroom stall witnesses a murder, and it's a pretty horrific murder. But the guys who kill the guy don't realize that they've just that there's been a witness to this thing, and so they have to go to the cops, and the main cop that's in charge of the investigation is John Book, who of course is played by Harrison Ford. And I don't want to give too much away, but as the story unravels, you kind of find out that the guys who killed the guy, who turned out to be a cop working an undercover case, are also cops who John Book knows, and they come after him and the kid, uh, which means they have to go into hiding, and they do so by escaping to Lancaster County and living with the Amish. And so it's kind of what the movie ends up becoming about, like Amish lifestyle, but it's also wrapped around this gripping thriller and really great storytelling. And so our version of this, the one that was readapted by the playwright Mac Rogers, and produced by Gideon Audio, basically they took the story and sort of updated it, and then elongated it. So instead of a 2-hour film, it's now a 10 episode series on Audible, but has been, like I said, kind of adapted and updated for the current times.
Yeah, there was cell phones and text messaging in the show.
Yes,
So
right.
um I had never seen the Harrison Ford movie, but I remember hearing about it because do you remember that show back in the day, I Love the 80s? I mean, I feel
Oh
like
yeah,
that's where like all my pop culture comes from. So
totally.
all of a sudden when I saw Witness and I looked it up and I was like, oh, I remember hearing about that. So
Yeah,
um I saw it posted on your Instagram and you were like, I have a role in this. I didn't realize that your role is the role. Like as soon as I
the
started
role.
listening, I was like, oh, he's the main character, John Book.
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so what was that like
Yeah.
getting that role? Did you audition specifically for that? How'd that go?
Yeah, I did actually. Well, so Gideon, I should preface it by saying that Gideon Audio, for those of you who don't know, they used to be a theater company, and that's how I know them. We did indie theater together years ago, when I was living in the city and doing a lot of theater for very little money. But made some really great connections. And these guys, Gideon, they were in their whole thing was producing original work and working with really talented playwrights, Mac Rogers being one of them. And they eventually evolved into getting into scripted audio.
Mhm.
um, and their one of their big ones was a podcast called Steal the Stars, and that kind of put them on the map, which is like a sci-fi scripted audio drama. um, and so that was how they got, I think, approached by Audible and Paramount Audio to be the ones to produce this work, because Witness is owned by Paramount. It's their intellectual property. um so Mac, he and this is actually really kind of funny to me and worth mentioning. they Witness as a movie is kind of like a silent film, right? It's like a 2-hour silent film. There is very little dialogue in this movie. It's a lot of like, elongated silent moments of Amish people doing Amish stuff. There's not a whole lot to work with in order to turn it into an audio drama. So
Oh, wow.
Mac really had his work cut out for him, but they really loved the setting and they loved the story, and Paramount Plus was like very, very on board with having this thing turned into a drama. So once that kind of all got established, they went through a pretty typical casting process. And because I'd known them, they thought of me. They didn't think of me first, though. They had actually auditioned quite a few other people before they reached out to
Hmm.
me, and Paramount didn't approve of anybody before
Oh.
they got to me. I know they like submitted these auditions, and Paramount was like, that ain't it. We're not hitting it. Um, and so Jordana, who's the director, and also the wife of Sean Williams, who is in charge. They're both basically in charge of Gideon Audio. She is the one who reached out, and basically, in kind of like a same day rush audition type of fashion, like, hey, we're at a deadline, we need to get this in, and we thought of you as the character for this thing. Can
Oh,
you record this and send it to us right now, because we have to have this in like an hour.
oh, no
It was,
pressure.
yeah, I mean, no kidding. But actually it's so weird, because I feel like sometimes those are the best, and
Yeah.
Jordana directed me through the audition, because of course they want to land this. They want to like figure this out. So they're investing their energy in getting a good audition out of me is good for them too, right?
Mhm.
And so we did the audition. It was one of the scenes from the show. And the next morning, Jordana called me and basically was like, they loved you. They were like, oh my God, Ryan Andes, he's the guy. Let's go. Green light. We're doing this. Which was awesome. I mean, it was nice to be recognized and wanted by the Paramount people.
Well, it was really amazing. I finished it all yesterday.
Wow.
And the reviews are amazing for it. If you go on
Yeah.
Audible, I mean, people are saying it's like listening to a movie. And
Yeah.
even though it's all completely audio, you don't even register it like that. There's a few times
Totally.
where you're saying, okay, I'm doing this, but it's not really, you're not walking people through everything, you know?
Totally. No, it's really smart. Mac did such a good job of telling people where they were or what they were seeing without describing it
Yeah.
overtly. And I think Sean and his sound producers did an exceptional job of creating this audible world, kind of like you said. And it is very cinematic. It's very detailed. And like I think you said, you can really just see the movie happening in your mind, which I think is such a testament to the level of production on this thing. It's really great how well they did this.
It no, it really is because I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I've
Yeah,
gotten that was like one of the things I just got into after the holidays, just listening. And I
sure.
mean, there's a lot of amazing voice actors that are reading the books and then also giving fantastic performances when they're doing lines.
Right.
But Witness wasn't like that. It's not okay, John goes here, now say line. It was just
Right.
it flowed very, very well. Um one of my favorite parts is you singing. in it.
Oh my God.
I was dying. Like, I think I was food shopping at that point with it in my ear, and I was just like, can't laugh too loud in the middle of the supermarket.
Oh man, that was one of the most ridiculous moments I've ever had recording anything. I mean, and they just wanted me to like, I really got to hand it to Jordana. Like she just was like, let go, like, don't worry about your voice. I don't want
Mm.
this doesn't have to be pretty. It's in fact, we don't want it to sound good. Like just be in the moment. And I'm really grateful for them because they we recorded a lot of this in an unusual fashion. And you may be like going to that, but I'll just mention it now. So that moment, the singing part, all of it really was done with my scene partner,
Oh,
right?
great.
So the entire podcast is recorded with it basically as a live scene.
Mm.
Um, so every single scene we do was with another person or with the other people, and which is difficult to do because we had to, scheduling had to be worked out. Um, Most of the time it was over like a not a Zoom call, but just an audio format so that I could hear my scene partner, but I couldn't see them. And
Mm.
but what was so cool about that is that we were reacting to each other in real time. I wasn't
Right,
saying, a lot of times when I do dubbing or any kind of recording, it's just saying your lines, right? And
right.
then someone else goes through the script at another time and says their lines. And then you just kind of hope they sort of mesh
Mesh
together.
together.
Right. Whereas with these guys, it was actually scene work and it was properly acted in a, you know, listening and responding kind of fashion. And I really think that affects the performance and it makes things so much more authentic and so much more natural. And when we couldn't do it, by the way, over recording, they actually have a small studio in their house in Queens. And for almost all the scenes that I did with Samuel, for example, who, by the way, Oliver
So
Elliott is the
cute.
kid, and he's amazing. He's like the coolest, smartest, funniest kid. The two of us, we just became like a couple of hooligans together, man. We would like wrestle and play games and stuff during our breaks. But I recorded all of my scenes in person with him at their house, and I
Aw.
really love that we got to do that. That really affected, I think, again, our performances and our ability to connect to each other.
So I definitely was leading up to that question, so thank you.
Sorry, I
No, no,
preemptively answered it.
no, I love it because they're the working off of each other was just too perfect to have it be one of those things, as you said, where you're recording and then hope everything connects properly.
Yeah,
Um, you and the voice actors who played Rachel, phenomenal chemistry,
man.
amazing scene work with each other. And
Yeah.
for Samuel, my heart melted every time he was like, John Book. I don't know. I was
Oh
just like,
man.
oh my God, it was just so
No,
amazing.
that kid, Oliver and Aaron, truly two of the most gifted act. It's so funny. It's like there's such good talent out there, and I'm so grateful that Sean and Jordana knew how to pick us. Like it was really them who brought us together, and trusted us to deliver what they wanted. And it was just it would you could really feel like a desire to to make this good. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it was such a positive environment. Jordana is such a good director. Sean and Mac are so good at what they do that you just are like, you're so inspired to break to raise the bar and to work directly with Aaron and with Oliver. It's just, it brings out, I think, the your potential. It brings you, it makes you be better than you think you are in some ways. And I just am so grateful that those are the people I got to work with in this. It's like it's good people working with good people and amplifying the best of those people. And I think that's so cool.
everything worked well together. John's scenes with both Rachel and Samuel, Eli, everything was really
Yeah. Oh,
great.
Eli's great. Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
it balanced out the perfect. There was the nice moments, the tense moments, everything was really, really well done. And so from what it seems like on your Instagram, you said like what, 2 years in the making that this has been?
Yeah. So my involvement wasn't until uh it was it was about a year and a half ago because we recorded it during the summer of 2021.
Mhm.
But Sean and Jordana and Mac, they had been, working and writing and getting all the pieces put together months before that.
Right.
Um, we were done recording, I think, in the fall of 2021. It was like the September, I think, is when we finally wrapped it.
Mhm.
And then it was kind of up to, well, and then Sean and the team at GVN had to do all the editing and post production work and the Foley work, which was, essential. And as we talked about, like so very detailed.
Right.
Um, and then it was up to Paramount. I think they were finished with it by the winter of 21,
Mm.
and Paramount just sat on it.
Because it just released, right? I
It
mean, not
just
too long
released
ago.
in December. So,
Okay.
yeah. So I
Two
guess,
years.
yeah, it was, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
so I think Paramount, I think they were kind of waiting for their moment to release it. It was also Audible. Audible was a partner with this, so I think they had some influence on when it got released. What's wild to me though is that they released it 3 days before Christmas
Yeah.
amidst the like mass chaos of holidays and shopping and people traveling, and so I feel like it didn't quite get the impact as of a release that I thought it would, even
Hmm.
though Audible and Paramount paid for a billboard in Times Square that we had
Oh,
that was
that's so
up for about two
cool.
weeks. Which I thought was cool too. It was the first time any work that I've done had like gotten a billboard like that. But it was a digital billboard, so it was
Yeah.
shuffled into like the mix of like six other
Ah,
billboards. So we had to
it still
stand there and
counts though.
it still counts. It
It still
totally counts. We got a
counts.
picture of it, but we had to wait for like 5 minutes while it went through the cycle of boards, and then ours finally popped up.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think that was the one disappointment that it kind of missed the mark on its release, and therefore it didn't quite, I think, get as much attention as I think it could have. But that's the nature of these things. It's not up to me. The people who have heard it, yourself included, have had a really great response to it, and I think uh, one of the best things as a result of it has been that we were included in the Webbies this year.
I saw that and I voted.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
When
I
I
don't know. I think we might have ended up in like second place, but out of 5 scripted podcasts for the year, I'd say that's pretty good. I don't know how the voting works. I think a lot of it is grassroots oriented, and I think other podcasts probably garnered a lot more support somehow, but it doesn't matter. The fact is it was nominated, and that to me is just again like a testament to the quality of the work and how well it was received. So I'm grateful for that.
listen, I think it's a fantastic listen. When I was scrolling through Instagram, saw it pop up, I'm like, I do need something new to listen to on Audible. Let me check this out.
Yeah.
I thought it was fantastic. And I
Yeah.
think from
Thanks.
what you said, what, within the top 10 on Audible or something like that? I
Yeah.
mean, that's impressive.
We didn't know until we got the Webby nomination
That's so
that
cool.
because Audible is very weird about releasing numbers for some reason, and so Sean over at Gideon found out when they did the nomination. He's like, "Oh, and Audible just told us that our podcast has been in the top 10 list since its release,"
Love it.
which is awesome. I mean, it's really cool. And it's also worth mentioning too that it's a free listen. If you're an Audible
Hmm.
member, you don't have to use a credit. It's included in the Audible, I think Plus or maybe Premium membership. Um,
I think
I
it's just
forget
the
now.
regular because I just have the regular Audible
Okay,
and I was able to listen to it for free. So
great. Yeah. So anyone out there with an Audible membership, you are welcome to go check it out. It's a worthy listen
I
for sure.
highly recommend it. It has everything. It has action, drama, a cute little kid, romance. I mean, it
Yeah.
has a lot. So
Some
those
steamy stuff.
those scenes, I was again sitting there. I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
I know. I know. So my wife is only on episode 4. She's one of those people who like has a hard time with like intense drama, so like she's been
Mhm.
putting it off.
Ah.
And it's fine. I'm like, I look, I get it, babe, but also please listen to this. This is important. So she's only on episode 4 and I have told her like it gets
Just let you
sort of
know.
sort of romantic. You know,
Mhm.
there's like some stuff. It's all never in person.
Right.
You know, we were always digital. Uh but she gets very like involved. Like even when she heard me get shot, well, let's just say when John Book gets into some trouble, she
Hmm.
got very worried for me. Like she
Aw.
got like she just gets so swept up in the thing. Um, so anyway, I'm a little curious how she's going to react when she gets to the juicy stuff.
I it
But
was listen again. I was just sitting there. I was like, okay, okay.
oh yeah,
It's like I think I kind of knew that that was what happened in the movie, but you're like
right.
listening to the Audible, and it kind of just not in a bad way. Like it took me a little off guard because I was like, oh, that's right, things are happening. Okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
So it
And I
was a very enjoyable listen just because it has everything in it that you want
thank
from
you.
a drama, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think it's worth mentioning too that those moments and like they can be so uncomfortable even in, you know, on screen if they're not done right or treated the right
Right.
way. And I really love how tasteful those moments were treated in the show and still felt like it was still very true to the story and
Yeah.
true to the characters. Um, and not cringy in the like this is gross kind of way. It was more like for me at least when I went back and listened to it, it was like, oh, I'm getting to listen to something that I shouldn't be listening to, but it's so sweet and so authentic and so true sounding that it like you kind of get swept. You can't help but to get swept up in it. And I again I think that's a just another you know another notch in the Gideon post for how well they did at producing this thing.
Yeah, completely. I mean, when I was younger, I didn't mind romantic scenes in movies, right? Even when they were just like thrown in there, right? But as I
Yeah,
get
right.
older, there's sometimes where you're like, there's no need for that. Why is this even
Agree.
in here?
Agree. 100% agree. My wife and I are both the same way. We're like, let's just fast forward through the making
Yeah,
out sexy stuff. We're like, we don't need it. We don't need it.
it's
You're
so
my, you're
cringy.
so much work for you, you know? Uh,
Yeah. But that's
and
not
that's
how
what,
it was with Witness. With Witness,
right.
it got there organically. So just
Yeah,
want you
I
to
think
know
so
there.
too. Right. And again, it's like it's such a wonderful example of like theater of the mind
Yes.
where you're given just enough information to really create this world inside your head
Mhm.
and you know it's so interesting to me how it's like when you read a book you can visualize this stuff and how well you visualize it is I think a nod to how well the story is told how well it's written
Right.
and in this format it's a more about like how well the audio works how clear it is and how I think detailed it is and I just think that is such a it's such a cool thing. It shows that you can do so much with just an audio format, right? You can
Completely. Yeah.
paint and entire worlds and create these entire relationships um, without having to see anything, just by listening. Um, that's so cool. It's so. I think I think what it does is it gives the audience this agency to be creative on their own in some way, you know?
And it's a really great medium for people like myself who, if I'm at work on the computer, you just want to
Right.
listen to something, you're in your car, you're walking
Right.
around, you can at
Right.
least, I don't know, for someone like, obviously we all love listening to music, but say you don't want to listen to music, you want to listen to a
Right.
story, it's a perfect medium. Um, so I haven't looked at your filmography right before this, so I can't remember. Have you done these type of podcasts before? And if this is the first one, are you like planning on doing more, you know?
I mean, not quite like this. I have done some audio drama stuff, and any kind of voice acting is kind of audio drama. Maybe not quite to this level. A lot of voice acting is cartoons
Mhm.
or dubbing,
Right.
but that kind of dubbing I think is a little bit more serious. And I will say that I've been really lucky. This isn't something that I think most people know about because dubbing work, it's kind of like it's like the secondary class work, right? Because really all you're doing is just making a movie that's done in another language, in English, but it does mean that you have to be a good actor, right? You have to know the scene and understand what's going on and match the intention of what's happening. Um, so I've done a lot of films at playing lead actors in very serious films, and I feel like that kind of, like you said, it sort of flexes the same muscle. But I prefer this. I don't. This is unusual. Like I don't think
Mhm.
most audio dramas happen this way in the
Right.
sense of like getting to do your scenes with your partners, um, getting to basically be a real actor. This was a a privilege, a true unicorn of a production in that sense. So that being said, if I were to be approached to do more of these,
Mhm.
I mean, I would do it in a heartbeat, hands
That's
down. I
awesome.
mean, this is a format that I found very much fit my aesthetic, if you will, my sensibilities, and also I think really fit my talents. It's something that I'm good at. I like being behind the mic. Um, I almost like it more than being in front of a camera, to be honest. Uh, so we'll see. I mean, I don't know what Gideon has planned, but there was a little bit of a murmur of a sequel to this.
Oh, okay.
This is not official. This is not like, don't put this out in the press or anything, but it was kind of maybe just sort of talked about in a very
Hmm.
unofficial way that there might be more to this story. So we'll see.
That would be very nice.
I agree.
What, how do we feel? What about like, I think you would be really good at narrating books for like audiobooks and everything.
Thank you. That's very sweet of you. I would I think that's something that I want to do eventually. My only issue with that right now is it's such a time commitment.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and what happens with audiobooks is, and I have a really good friend who's a narrator and he's finally doing well for himself, but it's taken him a few years to really build
Mm,
his presence enough to be paid, I think, in a realistic way.
yeah.
His name is Mark Garkusha, by the way, and he's fantastic. He did all the Jack. Is it Jack Reacher? No, not Jack Reacher.
Jack
Oh,
Ryan?
nuts! No, oh no, he'll kill me. Um, he well, he does there's an amazing book that he narrates called Oathbreakers Anonymous. That's worth
Yeah.
checking out. It's more fantasy. But he also is the voice for like this action adventure series. And I'm blanking on the name of it. But Mark Garkusha, worth checking out. Anyway, so I've kind of talked to him about this, and I guess my holdback with being a narrator is kind of that it takes a lot of
Yeah.
time, not just to build your reputation and your name, but to do the work itself. You really are dedicated to hours and hours and hours of sitting in this little box and narrating. And you have to be good because you're getting paid by finished hour, not by
Mm,
working hour. So a lot of that work is editing, a lot of that work is making sure your sound is good. Um And I think I'm just not. I don't have the. I just don't have the wherewithal for that right now. Not yet. Not yet.
I I don't blame you. I mean, there's this one actor, Mark Thompson, I believe his
Oh, I
name
know
is.
Mark. Oh, I
Yeah.
know Mark. Mark and I have worked on a bunch of stuff together. Mark's good
he
people.
he has done every single like Star Wars book
I
because
know.
that is what I'm listening to. That's my like big thing. I love
Totally.
listening to, and he does an amazing job. And I'm like, I was looking at his filmography and I'm like, he must spend his entire days just
Yeah.
in the booth, just
I
doing
know.
all of this.
And look, that is that I think for Mark, like that is all he like he really wanted that. Like he
Yeah.
was aiming for that kind of job. He's a Star Wars total buff himself, so like he is happy as a clam doing that work. And I would be too if I think it were the right thing or
Mhm.
if I were approached to do a project that paid, I think, enough the right way
Right.
and also made it so that I didn't have to do all of my own editing. Those jobs
Um,
exist, but you kind of have to be, I think, at a certain level before you are eligible or before people approach you for those things. Maybe, it could happen where someone asks me to do those. I might just do one on my own
mhm.
because I want to because there's a book that I love that I can't listen to because and this is so not okay, but I just don't like the narrator and I don't like a
It
lot of
happens.
narrators and it just feels like such the wrong fit for this book. But I so want there to be an Audible version of this book and I'm like, well, if it doesn't exist,
I got to do it.
maybe it's me. Maybe I should do it. So if I do it, it'll probably just exist in a very like unofficial, off the charts kind of fashion. Maybe it'll pop up on Reddit somewhere. Who knows?
You could do it on YouTube. I mean, I've seen that people, do like book
That's
narrations on
true.
YouTube or something. I don't know. I think I'm just on like such an audiobook kick where I'm like, yes,
Totally.
please do an audiobook.
Well, I think it's in the cards for me. I think I just have to find the right fit. And when I do, I'll let you know.
Okay. I think
Yeah.
that's fair. So I mean, Ryan, like, do you have anything right now that you're working on? Anything that's upcoming or anything?
It's this business, this life is so unusual in so many
Mhm.
ways. I'm constantly auditioning for things.
Right.
I haven't had a big thing come through. I'm working on. I just finished doing some work on the newest Pathfinder DLC. I did some voicing on that.
Nice.
I'm doing a lot of cartoons and dubbing. Those are kind of like it's like my day-to-day work, but and then I've got commercial jobs that come through. And I just finished doing a big campaign for Brightspeed Internet, and I'll be if you watch those commercials, you'll notice that I'm the voice of their spokes troll. So I don't think they're released yet, but worth looking out for. But honestly, no, other than like, I'm finally putting the finishing touches on my website, which I'm building all myself. It's all DIY.
Oh wow.
I'm doing
You're
all my own.
taking that on yourself. That
Oh
is
yeah,
so much.
it's so much. And I'm editing down all my own videos. I'm producing my own demos. I took all
Nice.
my own headshots. I designed and built the website entirely by myself. It's been a big job and I'm almost there. It's like 85% finished. So once I'm done with that, then I'm actually gonna be heading out to LA early summer to take some meetings with some reps I know out there. And I'm
Nice.
from there, so I have a lot of friends too. And basically my next step is to start getting more involved in the market out west. So
Mm.
we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, it's just kind of like doing the daily grind. It's a
Listen,
it's a weird life. This thing.
work is work, and
Yeah,
doing a website, that's a job in on itself. So kudos to you
it
for
really
even
is.
doing that.
Thank you. I actually really do appreciate that because it's like you work. It's just like auditioning. You're working in a bubble. Nobody's telling you if it's good or not good or if it's right or not right. I mean, I know it is, but it hasn't really been released yet. So like I haven't gotten any feedback on it. And it is an enormous amount of work. Like I can't even count how many hours I've put into building this website, and how much content I
Yeah.
need to to edit down to basically you know in order to best show what I can do, right? So like there's so many movies and cartoons and commercials and things that I've done that have to be kind of squeezed into a digestible format so that I can market myself. You know, it's
Right.
just oh man, it's endless, endless stuff, but it's good. It's good.
Well, I just again kudos to you, like
Thank you. I
or all
appreciate
that.
that.
I
Thank
do
you.
I do have one last question. I'm just so I could like put it in honestly to put it in the title of the video and everything.
Let's
So
do it.
so again, last time you were here, we were talking about Transformers and
Yeah.
everything. Have you watched the trailer for the Transformers 1 movie that's coming out?
Not yet. I haven't seen
Okay.
it yet. I know. I know. I'm so bad.
No, no,
I
listen, it's
haven't.
okay.
I know. I think I've seen like little clips of it, but no, I haven't. And I've been a little like head in the sand a bit with like keeping up with things. And it's a big deal because, you know, Transformers is celebrating their 40th year
I
this
know.
year. And so they've been putting out a ton of content and they're releasing new toys and BotCon is going to have a big thing this year.
Oh, nice. Are
Which
you going to it?
I won't be at BotCon this year, but I
Oh,
will be at the same con I met you at last year.
oh,
Lone Wolf
nice.
and Yasu have invited me back to the Bronx Anime and Comic Festival, which is going to be happening in the Bronx in August. Yes, in August this year. So if anybody's in the area and wants to swing by, come check out the Bronx Anime and Comic Fest. Um, but no, I need to get up on my current Transformers stuff.
It's
Is there a
no
reason you asked? Is there something about it that you're excited about?
well, I only asked because and like this is just my opinion and everyone obviously has their own opinion. I didn't feel the trailer as much as I wanted
Really?
to. And
Interesting.
and when I was like talking about it, I was using like Cyberverse as like an example where I was like I
I
was like
love that.
I was like understand like it's for kids, obviously goofy. I'm not sitting here saying Transformers has to be some dark thing. I was like, but there's a
Right.
way to do it. And I was like Cyberverse, you know,
Thank
that can
you.
do it. You
Yes.
know, so I just that's strictly the reason why I wanted to throw it out there. So I mean, but
Oh,
listen,
that's
like
interesting. Now you got me wanting to watch it.
yeah,
Yeah, you're
obviously
right.
like form your own opinion and everything. I was like, maybe I'm
Yeah.
wrong with it. It was just like a first reaction, but that was like strictly the reason why I wanted to ask you.
Hmm. All right. How about this? I will watch it, and
Okay.
then when you post this interview,
Hmm.
I'll go on the channel and I'll comment about it. I'll tell you what I think.
Okay.
How's that?
Perfect. That sounds good to me.
Cool.
Cool. Awesome. I like that I got that in.
Yeah. Lovely.
So Ryan, obviously you're working on your website and everything, but
Yeah.
where can people find you that after they
Oh,
watch this?
thank you for asking that. So the website is there. It's basically up. I just haven't like done a big announcement about it. So you can find me there. It's just www.ryanandys.com.
Mm.
And I have like, you know, I have videos and pictures and all the stuff I've done is on there. Along with stuff I think a lot of people don't know about me, which is like my family's in show business. So there's some stuff that I'm going to be adding to that. But anyway, that's a good place to start. That kind of is like the catch all, but I'm also, of course, on the socials. I'm on Instagram, which I have been kind of not on much lately. I've been kind of taking a bit of a hiatus,
Well, you've been
but
working on your website.
I have also been busy. Yes.
Yeah.
But so that's at Andy's Ryan. That's my handle there, and that's kind of the one I use the most. I mean, I do have a Threads account, but I'm not really on there. I don't really go on Twitter anymore because boo on Twitter. But
Yeah.
you know, I should check it every now and then because I do get some people who reach out. Um, oh, and then I should mention this too. I'm in kind of like my side life when I'm not doing all this other shit. I'm also a leather worker, a jeweler, and a metalsmith. And I'm just about to kind of relaunch that, and it's called Finely Wrought, Finely
Oh,
WROUGHT, and you can find that on Instagram as well, at just that name. And there's also a website that I'm about to kind of like restart building once I'm done with
Oh
this
God.
website. So I'm basically never done. It's just endless projects, but that's, the
So
life we lead.
needless to say, you're a glutton for punishment. Okay.
Yeah, what time off? What's that? I don't know what that is. I got my honeymoon in. That's all I get.
I I hope she's okay with never having another trip. No.
Let's just say we're very careful about our planning, and my wife is so good at scheduling, and so she's like made us have time for that stuff. So I'm thank you, Lindsay. I love you. I'm grateful for a woman who in my life like her who is so very organized and knows what she wants, and is willing to put up with this.
Well, we love that for Lindsay and everything. And no, please, everyone, make sure that you check Ryan Andes out. I'll also put the links down below in this YouTube video. It was so great having you back on. And again,
Such a
and
pleasure.
any project, come back. We'll
Thank
be
you.
here.
Tia, I'm so great. Really, thank you for having me. I'm you're just such an informed and cool interviewer. You really, I feel like you really bring out a very easy atmosphere. You make this feel like we're just having a friendly chat, and I
Oh,
appreciate that. It's really sweet.
thank you. I really appreciate that, Ryan. Cool.
Yeah,
Awesome. All right. Awesome. Well, until next time, guys.
you
Bye.
bet. Bye.